That's right. I control the whole works from here. I've only got to push one of these buttons and it's Thunderbirds are go. Yes, Chris, it's quite an organization.
Yes, Jeff, it certainly is. I'd have to agree. I mean, I have been watching your adventures now for, about 30 years, I would say.
You've done what?
Oh, don't worry. Nobody else knows that Tracy Island is really the top secret base of international rescue. No, winking to the audience doesn't go over so well on audio. Anyway, Jeff Tracy, all-round good chap. How about you press the button on the randomizer for me today?
Okay. Stand by.
That's it. Good man.
Oh, bang on. Jolly good show.
Are you making fun of how I speak?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just checking. Right, let's see what we've got to... Okay, well, it's Terrahawks today, and actually, you know what? We're going to reveal the episode title by playing a little game. Jeff, if you could just, and then when they... Does that make sense?
Your scheme strikes me as being daring and imaginative.
Good. But we are going to need some help with this. There they are. That's it, lads. In you come. Yep, all the way in. A bit more room over here.
Giant alligators?
Well, I only invited one. I'm not quite sure why he brought all his friends along with him. Anyway, Jeff, Mr. Alligator, Jeff, let's give this a try. Today's episode of Terrahawks is...
Thunder...
That's it! Thunder Roar! Well, that was simple. Let go of my arm. No, Mr. Alligator, please, seriously, let go. Jeff, Scott, seriously, a little help here?
Hold it, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Seriously? You're just gonna let me get eaten? I thought rescues were your thing. Get off.
Yeah, but this one's too dangerous.
You can say that again.
Here's Terrahawks.
Terrahawks, stay on this channel. This is an emergency.
So we're back with Terrahawks. It's been quite a while since we last saw the older Terrahawks on the randomizer, and this is the earliest episode so far we've seen from them. I think, haven't all the appearances of the Terrahawks on the randomizer so far been from the second season? Haven't they all been not young star episodes, It Star episodes? Do you know, I think there might have been. I mean, it's worrying that I mean, I'm the one who puts all these together and I can't remember what we've seen, and I do have a list of what we've seen, right here in front of me, but I can't call it up while the episode is playing. Anyway, this is certainly the earliest episode we've seen, and, when you go back to very early episodes of, not all shows, but many shows, the very earliest episodes, they're a bit uncomfortable, they're a bit weird, because, they're not going to be much like the show that came later. And, yeah, the early episodes of Terrahawks are kind of a painful watch at times. Because they were taking themselves so seriously to start with.
Wishes to see you before he departs.
And there's none of the fun and the energy and the humour of the later episodes, and particularly the characterisation. I mean, this I think is Young Star's introduction to the series. He's just suddenly there, with no explanation, having not appeared in the first two episodes at all. And it was very odd the way the show just sort of did nothing to introduce Young Star or Sistar either. I think Sistar just suddenly turns up in like episode 5 or 6 with, again, no explanation as to who she is. I think probably her character was slightly better formed than Young Star is here, because there's none of the sort of eager, incompetent, the drooling imbecile that would later characterise Young Star.
Fight the Terrahawks with your thunder. Smash them with your terrible power.
Yeah, he seems like capable and aware of his surroundings. This is not the Young Star that we all know and love.
Victory! Go! Now!
So Zelda has released
Yes! Victory!
the mighty Sram from the cryogenic store, and actually we saw her starting to do that at the end of the Expect the Unexpected two-parter, in fact. So this follows on from that.
What do you think you're playing at, Zero?
I was playing your video games.
But one thing Terrahawks did get right, I think pretty much right out of the gate, was the relationship between Dr. Einstein and the Sergeant Major.
And what do I find? Zero's playing my game.
That's not so terrible. What did you score, Sergeant Major?
820, Mom. And I hadn't finished.
What? That's higher than...
Higher?
Because obviously, although he is, he is basically a machine, but he is a real proper person, a fully fledged character, possibly more so than...
Isn't that what you always say?
At least half of the humans in this show.
What I meant to say was...
Oh, and the Zeroid props are so perfectly designed, and just there you have that lower lip section of Zero's mouth just lights up in a smile. He doesn't need to say anything. The model, the prop, just looks so smug. It's beautiful, and it also sort of brings through that the characterization that Windsor Davies was giving in his performance anyway.
I'll check it, sir.
Knock it out, Hero. 10-10.
And a very odd element of this sequence of Sram Zeroid approaching, not Zeroid, the other Z word, Zeef. Sram's Zeef approaching Earth is, for some reason, it has its landing legs down all the way, which is unique to this episode, I think. We did see the landing legs in other episodes when it was landing, but never in flight as much as we do here, and I'm glad they didn't do it again, because it looked a bit odd here.
Strong enough to lift this whole ship 45 degrees.
Did we get it?
10-0.
So Sram Zeef is through, and Sram is a really nice design as an alien, just this towering piece of bad news with this great big gaping mouth and the what's the green slime around his mouth? Is that, I want to say that's Swarfiga, I'm probably wrong. I seem to recall somebody talking about it reasonably recently, but that's a nice touch as well. And the fact that obviously none of these puppets were really capable of all that much. So with Sram you have the sound effect of this roar that can shatter mountains. He looks properly tough, properly hard. Unfortunately, the episode is going to kind of undermine him rather catastrophically later on. But we'll get to that when we get there.
We're locked on. Closing fast.
In fact, this Zeef that Sram is flying, it actually doesn't look like the regular Zeef. It seems shorter, it's silver, it doesn't quite have the same tail section. I'm going to have to come back and have a look at this, because this might be a completely different ship unique to this episode. Anyway, Sram has now used his roar to...
Are you alright?
knock Hawkwing, of course.
Some sitting duck.
They're attacking again.
Yes, Zero. It's called courage, bravery, guts. They're human attributes.
And even though we saw you demonstrating them in the previous episode, I'm gonna rub your nose in the fact that I don't think you have those qualities. Oh, Einstein, you're just not very nice to the sweet robots. It's not fair. Another close-up on this ship of Sram's.
Shooting, Hawkeye.
It's not a regular Zeef. I don't remember seeing it in any other episode. Maybe this is Sram's own personal ship.
Aye, aye.
Doubt it, but could be.
Great shooting, Hawkeye.
Okay, so the only reason that Zeef or whatever it is had those landing legs down was so when it finally crashed, they would immediately break off and just start flying all over the place. That's a very nice crash, followed by a very nice explosion. And, now the ship's on fire. Will Sram be able to get out of there?
Hated crash position. I'm moving in.
10-10.
Well, spoiler alert, since we know he appears in other episodes, he might be okay.
We'll drop the battle tank.
Yeah, let's do a bit of battle tanking. So Battlehawk is now flying out to the scene of the crash. And I know that the Battlehawk design is not a very popular one. I kind of like it,
28 feet.
in spite of the fact that I can appreciate it's just a reasonably ugly kind of
20.
lump.
Go.
I don't know, I think maybe it's the whole sort of Thunderbird 2 aesthetic of the thing where it drops vehicles out from underneath. Here we have the lovely battle tank, which was always a favourite of mine. I like the battle tank.
Megazoids report. No life form. The battle tank is going in.
Oh yeah, that was an odd element of the battle tank as well. We have these two giant Zeroids called Megazoids just kind of built into the front, and they never had... they've got eyes, but that's it. They don't speak. They don't have names. They are...
Nothing, sir.
I mean, every time a battle tank gets blown up, nobody even mentions them, the poor things.
10-0.
And it was kind of... There are a couple of elements in this series that got dropped fairly quickly. We'll meet another one of them later. But having the Megazoids built into the battle tank meant you... The fact that the series kind of later ignored their existence, but they're still on the model,
Go in close in Terrahawks.
was kind of
I'm
strange.
gonna check out that wreck myself.
So Tiger is now taking a look round the wreck of the Zeef. Green slime trails all over the place. And of course, the thing you do with green slime is as soon as you find it, you immediately dip your fingers in it. Because, at worst it's going to burn you, and at best it might turn you into a werewolf zombie man.
10-10. Battle tanks investigating.
And the blood trail leads towards a cave where we find Sram.
Something at the entrance to that cave.
Oh, there he is. Wonderful big old noise. Oh, and some beautiful close-up work on the battle tank as it... close-up shots as its caterpillar tracks are struggling to keep going, fighting against the force of the roar.
Call your dogs off, Neinstein.
Yeah, here we have...
Who are you?
I am Sram, Lord of Felony.
something that's unique to this episode, they never did again.
You, Neinstein. Come to the cave, and come alone.
Which I think was a very wise decision not to do again. Sram speaks in this episode. Not only does he speak, he's very, very chatty. And I have huge amount of respect for Robbie Stevens as a voice artist, and I can only think that the reason this doesn't work is that maybe he hadn't yet seen the Sram puppet,
Seen it with my own eyes.
who has just demolished a mountain, by the way.
Waiting.
Because I'm sure if he had seen the puppet before recording this episode, he would never have gone with
It's a trap.
this voice that just sounds so ordinary. He just sounds like a sort of slightly irate bank customer. It's just, Neinstein, hello, I'm in a cave. Rah, it doesn't fit the character at all.
Over here.
Especially after they've spent so much time building up
So,
his face
are Neinstein.
and the roar, the heavy breathing,
Despicable Terrahawks.
but this doesn't fit at all.
Inhuman human race.
Did Zelda send you?
Zelda leads the fight for survival. Survival of all that's not human.
I mean, Sram could make a good sideline, I don't know, reading audiobooks or something. He has got a very pleasant speaking voice. It just...
You will die with me, Neinstein.
I can't... I'm struggling to think of a more ill-fitting voice for any Jerry Anderson character than what Sram is here. And I don't want to keep going on about it because it's not fair, but I'm really grateful that Sram remained silent for the rest of the series. Just that heavy breathing and the roar was all you really needed. I think that might actually be the last of Sram now. He's roared his last roar, and now he has died, but he's trapped Tiger in the cave with him. Had a bit of a cave in. Tiger is now stuck with the dead body of Chatterbox Sram. Who knew that Sram was such a great conversationalist? Oh yeah, this is very odd as well. The Battlehawk landing legs are mounted on these caterpillar tracks, which means it can actually drive forward. It's a very odd sight of the battle. Did I say battle tank or Battlehawk? I meant Battlehawk, the huge thing. It has a very cool drill in the front that we now see being used to chip away at the rocks that are blocking the cave. But yeah, seeing it just crawling along on those odd caterpillar track legs. That's another odd moment for this episode, and I think again it is unique to this episode. I could be wrong.
How far?
Not sure.
150 feet, Mom.
Tiger, we'll be through to you in about 15 minutes.
10-10.
Yeah, this is quite Thunderbirds actually. Oh, it wasn't a drill. The Battlehawk has lowered this sort of conveyor belt thing that's sucking up all of the rocks, crushing them, and then spitting them out the back end of the Battlehawk, which is a nice feature, but you'd struggle to think why an aircraft would need rock crushing equipment built in. It's very Thunderbirdsy though.
I still don't feel so good.
Your temperature is rising.
Here's another thing that's unique to the early episodes of Terrahawks. Tiger has a little computer strapped to his left wrist called Tim, which seems to be some sort of medical monitor.
I can't understand it.
Who I think only speaks in this episode and Gold.
I'm picking up small quantities of an extremely toxic substance in your bloodstream.
Where is it coming from?
It's again an odd choice for the character to have
It seems to be entering
a medical monitor on his wrist that just tells him everything that's wrong with him. I get that maybe it's there as part of the whole
That's it.
data dump memory
Into the air.
storage thing. But again, I don't know why he was thought up to begin with, and obviously
Medical emergency.
the show didn't either because he was dropped extremely quickly.
Doctor's vital functions are failing.
How long has he got?
2, maybe 3 minutes.
Another chatty character that we
Another 45 feet, Mom.
never hear much from again.
Increase to maximum mass and gain as much acceleration as possible.
Yes, Mom.
You mean just like I did at the end of the last episode, Mum? Righto. Yeah, it's strange we have the same plot resolution 2 weeks on the trot here with Zero increasing his mass, smashing through and saving the day. I think, is he actually even
Starting run.
doing it to the same heroic music as he did last time? Or it might be a slightly different version, but it's very similar.
Maximum speed. Geronimo!
I suppose you can get away with it. This is only the third episode. They didn't use the increased mass thing too much more after this. Not in a sort of saving the day kind of way.
I made it.
Great work, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, just odd that it
We're
comes
sending in an
the week after
In the
the
meantime-
previous episode was resolved in exactly the same way. But it's all worth it for this shot of Tiger coming back to consciousness, realising he's been saved by Zero, and of course Zero has a great big smile on his face.
I never thought I'd be glad to see your face, Zero.
So that's another plan of Zelda's down the toilet.
We have lost the battle.
She's put her feet up on one of the cubes. She's had enough for today.
Sram fought well, but lost. Now I must rest. My powers are exhausted.
Odd that she says that and then immediately uses her powers to do the Zelda reclaims her own thing. She gets the Zeef wreckage back and
Zelda reclaims her own.
there we go.
It's really scary.
Sir,
Oh God.
I'm pleased to say
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for that contribution.
Does it mean I'm
I'm
now
really
brave?
scared,
No, it
Tiger.
doesn't.
I'm gonna wet myself.
scared. And now that I'm scared,
Bless Mary.
I'm not brave. The whole thing is totally beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, Mary hasn't quite got that sort of
Think you are both
slight
brave.
steely edge that she would get in later episodes. She feels very much like she feels very mumsy in the early episodes. Anyway, that was Thunder Roar. It's, again, it's early episode weirdness. Lots of things that were very quickly dropped. And that don't fit what the show later became. And actually, it's just occurred to me, if Battlehawk actually need not have come out to the crash site at all, because Hawkwing shot Sram's Zeef down, he crashed. That was basically the point that Terrahawks could have called it a day, because Sram just crawled off to the cave and would have died, regardless of whether or not Tiger and Mary went out there in Battlehawk. So the Terrahawks actually, halfway through the episode, could just have put their feet up and called it a day there. I suppose that's a negative point against the episode. Nothing really seemed to be accomplished. First appearance of Sram, uncharacteristically chatty, but they'll address that in later episodes. Thank goodness.